Welcome to Interstellar Static, where the frequencies of forgotten worlds drift through the dark and voices echo across timelines. I am MAGAN, your host, a cosmic interdimensional squid floating through the folds of space-time, gathering echoes from alternate dimensions, ancient dreams, and hidden truths. If this is your first descent, welcome. And if you're returning, you already know things get weirder the deeper you go. Don't forget to subscribe to Interstellar Static for more esoteric journeys, mythic explorations, and relaxing deep dives into the forgotten corners of the universe. Tonight, we descend into the religious and spiritual obscure Oddities Iceberg, an archive of mystery, myth, and the profoundly strange. And if you drift off somewhere along the way, that's perfectly okay. In fact, it's encouraged. Let your mind float. Let your body relax. We begin at the surface and spiral downward. Level 1. Surface Belief. We begin in warm waters, where incense still clings to old velvet cloth and curiosity guides the hand. Here we find what is accepted, what is whispered over coffee, or typed quietly into search bars under starlight. Horoscopes, tarot, crystals aligned on shelves, a soft rustle of cards shuffled in the dark. This layer is not dangerous, only suggestive, a place of archetypes and symbols, magic in its simplest form, not for power but for comfort. Numerology, attaching cosmic meaning to numbers. Astrology, mapping personality to constellations. These practices are bridges between what we know and what we hope, between logic and longing. And yet, even now, they are sometimes dismissed as superstition, as if we ever truly stopped believing in science. Level 2. Cultural mysticism. We drift deeper now, past candles, past crystals, into systems woven through generations. This is the land of ritual, of white magic and energy work, where the invisible is treated with reverence. Here walks the shaman, in silence, listening to wind and bone, their tools, smoke, sound, trance, their language, that of dreams and spirits. Alongside them floats Gnosticism, the belief that God is not outside you, but trapped within you, waiting to be remembered. You see the shimmer of aura reading, the flicker of clairvoyance, the sacred lines of runes, each practice a doorway. We pass Aleister Crowley, his eyes like symbols themselves, feared by some, followed by others, a figure caught between ritual and rebellion. And farther down, Feng Shui, Gematria, Isosephi, systems of balance and hidden meaning. This layer is built from intention. Every item placed just so, every word whispered with weight. It is not yet the unknown, but it is old, and beneath it, things begin to shift. Level 3. The occult mirror. The light fades slightly, and the surface above is now only a distant memory. Here is where we first meet the mirror, the idea that every belief reflects something deeper. You pass by lucid dreams, states where you awaken inside your dream and discover you're the author, the architect, the observer. Nearby floats astral projection, the sensation of leaving your body, of drifting through walls and weather while your physical form sleeps. Technomancy blinks in a dark corner where spellcraft and silicon entwine. Code becomes incantation, electricity becomes spirit. Then there are the tulpas, thought forms made real. Conscious beings imagine so vividly, they begin to think for themselves. We float through body of light teachings, scrying, necromancy, kundalini energy, old techniques, forgotten by most, still vibrating in esoteric corners, and in the distance you feel it, a pressure, a sense of being watched, not by gods, but by systems of belief themselves, as if the symbols are aware you're observing them. Pause. Breathe in and out. You are safe, held by silence, wrapped in stillness. Our descent is only beginning, and with each layer, you dissolve just a little more, drifting, suspended between thought and myth. Level 4. The dream behind the dream. 17 hours to 25 hours. You float now through a soft fog where memories you've never lived rise to the surface. This is the realm of reality shifting, where entire communities claim to consciously transport themselves into alternate timelines, to Hogwarts, to space stations, to a life where things went right. You begin to wonder, have you already done this? Without knowing, nearby is the subtle buzz of technomancy, not science fiction, but magic, in code. In some corners, machines are not tools, they're altars. Here, you meet tulpamancers, those who have created companions in their minds so vividly. They claim they're real, and maybe they are. You pass Soma, the sacred plant of the gods, the divine drink that opens the mind to eternity. A path to the stars, through the root. Beneath that, bibliomancy, divination. Through randomly opening sacred texts. What if your answer is hidden on page 237? Everything here is symbolic. Even the air feels like metaphor. And just ahead, you feel a shift. There are watchers in the deep. Level 5, the electric gnosis. Something begins to pulse, a soft harmonic hum. This is the field of neurotheology, where mysticism meets MRI, where spiritual ecstasy is mapped and measured, where the divine spark is studied through brain waves. And yet, this makes it no less real. Here, you find strange statements floating past. Isaac Newton's occult studies, secret rites of Samothrace, the Rosicrucian cosmoconception, a cosmic blueprint hidden in plain sight. You pass a chamber of odd beliefs, churches as healing resonators. Vibrating with divine frequency, you hear whispers of machine elves, seen by those who journey through DMT hyperspace. Tiny trickster entities that teach and laugh and vanish when questioned. You drift past Japanese magic mirrors, which reflect more than the physical. The phrase "animals are religious" flickers past, like a forgotten headline. Is reverence coded into all living things? And in the darkest corner of this realm, something watches from Glamis Castle. No one knows what it is, only that it has always been there. Level 6, madness or revelation, 35 to 45. Now, you enter the murk, the place where the iceberg becomes inverted. Above, belief-shaped culture. But down here, belief shapes reality itself. You pass the God helmet, a real device that stimulates spiritual experiences using magnetism. What if every god is just pattern in your cortex? The air feels heavier now, like language itself is beginning to warp. Here comes hyper-elves, cousins of the machine elves, described by psychonauts as advanced interdimensional beings with a trickster heart. Whispers say they've always been here, waiting. You float past skullcups, real vessels made from the bones of saints and mystics, symbols of impermanence and devotion. Salvia Land appears like a dream state, a plane entered through the psychedelic plant, Salvia divinorum, where reality melts, language collapses, and strange geometry replaces thought. And there's a festival you've never heard of, Actuatl Festival, celebrated by few, remembered by fewer, where gods are honored with silence. A glowing node appears, nobody. A belief, a being, a placeholder for the infinite void. You pass the miracle of Kalanda, where a man's amputated leg reportedly regrew overnight. Documented eyewitness never explained. And deeper still, magicians are CIA spies. Yes, that's the claim. That reality-bending artists have always been tools of hidden power. You begin to feel it, don't you? That old, familiar sensation. Level 7. The sacred paradox. 45 to 55. You've drifted past gods, glyphs, and ghosts. And now you enter a realm where language fractures, where beliefs no longer even try to make sense. They simply are. Here's a strange one. Jesus was born in Texas. No, really? Some believe the Messiah will return not in Jerusalem, but in a dusty corner of the Lone Star State. He might drive a pickup. He might vote libertarian. He probably makes his own kombucha. And what about this? Jesus was a mushroom. Yes, you heard me. This theory, made infamous by ethnobotanist John Allegro, proposes that early Christianity was actually a secret, psychedelic fertility cult. The Eucharist, a code for consuming Amanita muscaria, the red and white hallucinogenic mushroom. The resurrection, a metaphor for the mushroom's life cycle, dying, decaying, and rebirthing through spores. And the imagery? Well, the mushroom's cap does look a bit like a halo. Its stalk, suspiciously cross-like. Coincidence? Or cosmic fungus truth? Megan's voice chuckles in the background. Look, as an interdimensional squid, I've seen beings born from mushrooms, stones, and once a sentient sneeze. Personally, I think Jesus was a metaphor, but if he was a mushroom, I hope he was at least shiitake. Those are delicious. The dream pulling apart, gentle, slow down, breath in and out, and yet you are safe, you are floating, held in soft darkness, like silk beneath the stars. Megan is still with you, gliding silently through currents older than language, older than memory. You've reached the edge of understanding. Below us, only the abyss remains. But don't be afraid. There is peace in mystery, and even in madness, meaning. Now you drift toward the Ark of the Covenant. In Japan. Yes, some believe the most sacred Hebrew relic, the golden box that held divine fire, was transported across continents and hidden in the hills of Shikoku. There are even shrines where it's worshipped, cloaked in Shinto aesthetics. The sacred becomes portable. Divinity migrates. I once found the Ark of the Covenant in a pawn shop in Nevada. Turns out it was a vintage microwave, still made a mean burrito. Here comes a glowing phrase. Vocabulary makes reality. Words are not mere symbols. They're seeds. What you name becomes. This is more than metaphor. Some say language literally shapes matter, that every thought, every word encodes frequency, geometry, meaning. It's the logic behind magical incantation. The reason why spells are called spells. And in the shadows of this layer, something ancient pulses. Level 8. The code beneath the code. 55 to 65. You've reached the abyss, the floor of the ocean, where meaning itself mutates. Here lies the Chronovisor, a machine allegedly built by Vatican scientists in the 1950s. That could see through time, like a divine television, tuned to past events. Some say it showed the crucifixion, others, Atlantis, but the device vanished. or was hidden, because when you can see the past, you begin rewriting the present. I borrowed the Chronovisor once, watched myself being born, wasn't impressed. 3/10 performance. I cried too much. Now, the Torah hidden image codes. Kabbalistic scholars believe that the Torah is not just scripture, it is a multidimensional puzzle, a hypertext, where every letter, every curve and crown hides additional meaning. Using equidistant letter sequencing, researchers have found predictions, names, encoded messages. Is it coincidence or divine encryption? Imagine a book that only speaks when you're ready to listen. I once read a Torah in a reality where it was written entirely in emojis. Turns out, still translates to "let there be light." And here, the final fragments. Omnipotence paradox. Can God create a rock so heavy, even he cannot lift it? Metempsychosis. The soul migrating across lives, across forms, across galaxies. The Jewish Messiah from Tartaria in 1671. A forgotten thread in a forgotten empire, like a candle flickering in fog. Jesus lived in Japan, and his grave is there in a village called Shingo, a simple wooden cross said to hold the bones of Christ. And finally, reality transurfing, a belief system from Vadim Zeland, proposing that reality is like a film reel, and you can change tracks by aligning your inner intention. Shift the film, and you shift the world. All of these leads to one final truth, the weirdest, truest, simplest of all. Vocabulary makes reality, because what we call real was once just imagined. And now you've made it. You've seen the surface. You've passed through forgotten traditions, psychedelic truths, quantum dreams, mythologies wrapped in memes, and mysteries wrapped in silence. Megan's voice softens. If you've made it this far, either you're asleep or your third eye just winked at me. Either way, you're my kind of traveler. Remember to subscribe to Interstellar Static for more sacred noise, spiritual static, and cosmic nonsense. And if you dream tonight, maybe you'll remember something you heard here, or maybe not. That's the thing about mysteries. They're patient. Good night and good descent.